So hear me out where I'm going with this. What if the Raiders approach the Giants and say, Khalil Mack, Odell Beckham, do it now? Would you do it? The Giants are known for their defense.
I don't think they would do that.
I don't think that we would do that. Just considering the fact that we have a high-round linebacking pick. I mean, it does fill a lot of needs, but you can't... Sterling Shepard is never going to be a number one in this league. It's just never going to happen. He's a number two at best. And you don't want to give Eli all of these weapons to trade arguably the best weapon he has.
Let me ask you this question.
Especially given the fact that you have Eli for 2 years max. He's not playing till 40. I don't think he can count that high.
Let me ask you this question. Who was the number one receiver in Philly? Was it Alshon Jeffrey? Maybe on paper he's the number one.
He should be their number one, yes.
Who was the number one receiver?
And I was going to say, you bring his name up, I will walk out of this room.
Who?
He doesn't exist to me. He's dead.
Who?
One of a guy who happens to be on the wide receiving core of Philadelphia. Dead to me. He couldn't catch a cold in the Arctic in a bathing suit.
I'm going to need initials.
No, he doesn't have any initials to me.
I'm lost. Do you know who he's talking about?
No.
O'Shea, do you know who he's talking about?
A wide receiver on the Eagles?
All he had to do was make one more catch, and I would have won my championship last year. One. And I took a risk on him, and I knew he had frying pan hands. No.
No, it's not Ryan Matthews?
No. Mm-mm.
JM?
Oh, JM, you're right.
N.A.
Oh, Nelson Aguilar!
Just the worst individual ever.
Okay. Who's the number one receiver for the Patriots when they had their Super Bowl victories?
Randy Moss?
He didn't win a single Super Bowl.
I don't know.
They didn't have one.
You mean the most recent?
I mean, they've had Edelman. Edelman's always been solid.
I was going to say, it's got to be Edelman.
Is he a number one receiver?
In Brady's offense, he is, because he loves to throw to white people.
All I'm saying is a true number one wide receiver that much more valuable than a cohesive group of number two wide receivers?
When it's Odell Beckham, yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Is Odell Beckham worth more to the Giants than Khalil Mack would be? I don't think so.
Yes.
Okay, offensively, obviously. Khalil Mack's not a wide receiver.
But the Giants' defense has its holes. But at the end of the day, it's a lose-lose for the Giants. You're going to trade away an offensive weapon that's explosive to try and get a defensive weapon that can be versatile, but you're still going to be in the same situation. Both dudes are going to have to get paid. You're just trading one for the other.
Yeah, but if you look at the Giants, they have no problem paying on defense. They hate paying for offense.
Right, but we pay for defense for dudes to get hurt. That's what happens when we pay dudes on defense. So the last thing I want to do is pay another dude on defense to break an ankle.
It's a good point.
Blow off half of his fingers.
It's a good point. We got way off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where we are right now.
Derek Carr's health. Derek Carr. If you're a Raiders fan, does his health concern you? If it doesn't, what have you been watching?
Right.
It doesn't concern me because of the fact that he is very determined to get out there. I am more concerned about putting himself in unnecessary risks than I am of his health. I don't think I have a problem with his health. I think he can rehab. I think he can be on the field. But I think what bothers me is he puts himself in situations where he's liable to get hurt because he's trying to do too much. And I don't think Gruden's going to let him do that.
Okay. That's a good point. It's a good point. We'll go on to the next part, and you can tie it back. John Gruden. What are we getting with John Gruden? Because, I mean, he's had one successful...
Gruden, I have no idea what to even think of. I love his analysis as, like, a commentator, but that's a whole hell of a lot different than being a head coach. And his last head coaching stint with the Raiders, was less than successful, shall we say.
I mean, he really only had one good season. The season he won the Super Bowl with the Bucks.
And he had the Raiders playbook.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think this is going to be a rough year for the Raiders because I think it's going to be a rough year for Gruden. That doesn't mean he's going to be a bad coach or anything. It just means I think he's going to need a bit of time to transition back into coaching full time and everything that entails the time management, the delegating tasks. He can't just sit in the film room and go over film. That's one part of his job, and there's a whole hell of a lot more to it.
How often do you think he runs Spider 2 wide banana?
I expect to see Spider 2 wide banana as the first play that they call as soon as for the season. As soon as the kickoffs are done, first game, their first possession, Spider 2 wide banana.
I expect it to be every play.
John Gruden's interesting to me because he has arguably more offensive talent on the Raiders than he ever did in Tampa.
Well, duh, you had Brad Johnson.
I understand that. That bar wasn't set very high. But that being said, if Khalil Mack is on the team, this is a defense that is 2 years in a row extremely underperformed. And if Gruden's good at one thing versus anything else, it's making a pretty solid defense. And if he can win with someone like Brad Johnson, there's a chance that his offense will be good enough and should be better than that Tampa offense was. And if he can make that defense up to its actual potential that it was supposed to be, but has been lackluster after the last 2 years, they could be a tough team to beat. That's what I'm saying. They could go. They're the most intriguing to me in probably almost all of the NFL because they could go from having a lot of problems their first year, but at the other side, I can also see them being like, "Oh, they won the division."
I feel that. I understand that, and I don't disagree with you. But I don't see a way that the Raiders are good. I think there's just too much bad that they have to get through before they can be good. And I think this season is going to be that season of bad.
I think you can say that about most of the AFC West. The AFC West is like taking dice in a Yahtzee game and throwing them on the board and going, that's what came out.
I don't think any AFC West team is going to be truly awful. I don't really see any of them being like 4 games or less winning. The Raiders, I like the offense, as Tony pointed out, a lot of weapons there. John Gruden is going to make them run the ball more, which I think they definitely needed to do. Hopefully we see a bit more out of Marshawn Lynch. Because, I wasn't very impressed by him last season, but he also wasn't given a lot of opportunities to impress. The defense is the big question mark, but they did just completely overhaul their defense. I was looking at the changes that they made. I'm not even going to list them because it's like everything. It's crazy. So the defense is their question mark. I think offensively we'll see a good amount of production. Defensively, gonna take some time to mesh, so I expect them to be giving up a lot in the first half of the season, and then maybe we'll see them start to get better in the second half. 8-win team, I think, is their ceiling, though.
I agree. I agree with almost everything you just said, except for I don't trust that Derek Carr isn't going to get obliterated. I know, Tony, you touched on it. You said you're not worried. I am worried. I'm afraid that he's going to go out there and get hit by someone who wants to hit him hard, whether it be Joey Bosa or...
Probably won't be him.
Well, we don't know.
We'll see what that injury entails.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be anything from a sprain to I broke my ankle.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're walking off the field with broken ankle. Actually, Joey Bosa's a lunatic. Maybe you are.
Yeah, I mean...
You know what I think the AFC West is? The AFC West is the same to the NFC South.
Different. Same idea.
But the overall unpredictability of it is the exact same. You have no idea what you're going to get out of it.
Right, the AFC
you
South.
You think you know, but you're probably wrong.
The AFC South.
I think the AFC South is better overall by far.
That's what I was going to say.
Well, yeah, that's because they don't have a Tampa.
Excluding the Bucs. Excluding the Buccaneers.
So, what I was going to say is I think watching the NFC South is like, oh man, which of these teams is going to light up the NFL this year? Whereas the AFC West is, which team ain't going to lose it this year?
Yeah, that's true.
Same unpredictability, I get that, but it's completely
different ways that they play out. But again, you'd be hard pressed to, gun to your head, which one of them's going to win the division. I don't know, but it's probably going to be wrong.
None of them want to. But
it'll be you're sitting here and you're like, oh yeah, I think it's going to be Kansas City and it's going to be the Saints. Turns out it's Oakland and Tampa. Makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense.
One of which has a losing record, yet they're in the playoffs.
Oh my god.
The NFC South is known for that every once in a while.
Was it the NFC? No, it was the NFC West. It was the Seahawks.
Oh no, the Panthers got in one year with a losing record.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure of it.
I don't think so. I think the only team to ever do that was the Seahawks.
I'm going to look this up, but I'm almost positive it happens.
Yeah, look it up. But this team on paper, the Raiders, they have Super Bowl potential. Problem is, papers get crumpled up and tossed aside.
Right.
Yeah, Super Bowl potential's, I think, pushing it. Given that defense, I don't think they're a contender in any way, shape, or form. Could the defense surprise me and they make a push for playoffs? Maybe, but I'll bet you $1,000 they're not a Super Bowl winner.
This time in February, your Super Bowl 2019 champions.
Okay, so 4 teams have ever made it to the NFL playoffs with losing records. One of which, ironically, without a doubt, is the Browns at 4-5 in 1982. The other one, predictable again, was the Lions. They also went 4-5, also in 1982. The other one was the 2010 Seahawks at 7-9, and most recently was the Panthers, made it with a record of 7-8-1.
Okay, yeah.
Huh. I was wrong.
So I'm actually kind of surprised that there were 4, but it is fitting that the Browns are one of them.
And the Lions.
Yeah, like that makes perfect sense.
Oh man, that's great. But like I said, this on paper, this team with Jordy Nelson, Derek Carr, Khalil Mack, they have Super Bowl caliber players. We'll say it that way. They have Super Bowl caliber talent, but they're probably just going to fall apart, is my expectation. Mm-hmm. So, my prediction, Chargers win the division, Broncos, Raiders, Chiefs. That's my prediction for how the AFC West is going to go. Chargers, Broncos, Raiders, Chiefs.
Okay, I didn't hear you say Chargers there, and I was like, what? I think, Chargers on top, Chiefs or Broncos.
Or Broncos or Raiders.
I'm going to say Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos, actually.
Okay.
Watch it be like one of those last game of the season Sunday nights where they have to play for the division. They do almost every year.
What do you think, BB? What's your order?
Definitely the Broncos and the Chargers are either on 1-2 on the top of the division. I would give the Raiders solid 3, and then just because KC's got a lot of new pieces, number 4. To win, let's go Chargers.
All right. And Tony, what do you think?
I'm going to just go off the reservation because that's how I feel it's going to be. I'm going to say Oakland, the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs.
Oh, man. I knew you were just going to pull something like that.
Yep.
See,
Yep.
I knew
That's how it's going to go. And the Chargers will make it on some stupid wild card.